If you saw the title of my video and I followed the news, and by news I mean Sandman, over on Twitter, I will never call it any other name, then you know that he's tweeted about Ichiro Oda's reason for why he doesn't like to kill characters in his story. You might therefore be wondering why I'm making this video and seemingly trying to give an answer to something that Oda has already given us a reason for. Well, for me, it's because stories tend to have even deeper meanings, especially when you consider the themes in which they operate. And it is because of these themes present in One Piece that I think there's another reason why Ichiro Oda doesn't like killing his characters. One that even Oda himself might not have figured out yet. Want to know what it is? Then keep watching. In December last year, Sandman, or Twitter user at Sandman_AP, tweeted that back in 2018, Oda had given his reason for why he doesn't like killing characters in One Piece. He is quoted as saying, "The reason I don't want to draw scenes where people die is because I want to draw a party after the battle. If someone dies, you don't have an enjoyable party. A party is my ideal form of friendship. I want to end One Piece with a big party." Followed by pizza slice emoji, which same old as same. I too believe that a party is the ideal form of friendship, and although his words do give me hope that One Piece would have a fairly happy and celebratory ending, unlike a certain manga we are currently following where everybody is dying and all I feel is numb, I still think that there is more to why Oda doesn't kill his characters. It's because it just doesn't fit. A party is good, but is it a compelling enough reason that we can name on one hand the number of active characters that Oda has killed off and who remain dead in the story? The reason I ask is because One Piece and its over 1,000 episodes and chapters span a variety of themes. At the heart of the story, we have themes of adventure, of friendship, of dreams, of honor and morality, of prejudice and hatred and how it divides and others us, of abuse of power and how power that is left unchecked is the most egregious of things, of how those who are meant to protect us only serve the interests of the elite and the truly powerful. It explores things about authoritarianism and censorship that authoritarian governments met out on their citizenry to keep themselves in power and to maintain control. And it is ultimately about how the people need to unite to throw off their oppressors, because at the very core of every single one of these conflicts is the central theme of freedom. Every single one of the characters, every single island, and every single conflict, and every single story arc that we have dealt with and experienced in One Piece so far is about freedom. Luffy's journey legit starts with him leaving Windmill Village so he can freely pursue his dream to become the king of the pirates, the most freest man on the seas. He meets Kobe, sets him free from Alvida. Together they go to Shellstown where they set Zoro free from his entrapment at the hands of Axe and Morgan. Then there's the people of Orange Town that liberate from Buggy, Syrup Village from Kuro, Baratie from Don Craig, Kokoyashi Village from Arlong. You get the gist. Luffy and his nakama spend the entirety of the story moving from place to place, setting cities free and offering people their freedom, because freedom is what Monkey D. Luffy is about. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why on earth I have gone off on a tangent about freedom when the reason why you clicked on this video was to find out what other reason I think drives Oda's insistence on not killing his characters. Well, it's because within freedom lies the answer. Sure, Oda is big on parties and celebration, and people can't really party if they are dead. But I do believe it goes beyond that. It goes all the way to the freedom that is the core of who Luffy is and what he seeks as a character. David Levithan, author of the book Every Day, which follows a character called A who has no existence and instead wakes up every morning in the body of someone else, and they can only be that person for a day and keep moving on, which speaks to the transient nature of life, writes that, but death is not freedom. For a moment, it can look like freedom, but then it is death. Anything, something, nothing. And those words stuck with me when I think of One Piece and the world that Oda has created. Would death be considered freedom to the people of Wano who have been subjugated by Kaido and the Beast Pirates for 20 odd years? Would we say that it is truly an escape for them to die and move on? Like, sure, it might look like freedom, but what is freedom if it cannot be enjoyed? If you never get the chance to walk freely on your land, drink water from your unpolluted waters, and eat the bounty that the land provides? What is freedom if you are never given the opportunity to live without the chains that your oppressors forced on you? Freedom is everything to Luffy, and so therefore is everything to One Piece. And unfortunately, dead people are not free. They are bound to the rules of the underworld or the ether, or they cease to merely exist depending on what your idea of an afterlife is. But even not existing is not the same as being free. It is a finality, a nail on the coffin, a drawing of a line in the sand that declares that this is the end of the road and the person who is caught and trapped cannot go any further. They have come to the end of their story and the end of their life, and that is it. That is final. That is unfortunately what death grants in One Piece. A finality to the characters of this story. From Ace to Whitebeard to Belmer to Oden to Vegapunk to Ashura Doji to Nefertari Kalbara to Yasue to Corazon. These are all characters who will never get to tour the seas, to make Oden for their friends, to build bonds with those they've adopted as their family, to tease their daughters and amass knowledge, to make up with trusted friends and confidants that they have been parted from for over 20 years. These are characters bound permanently in a way that Luffy, no matter how powerful he has grown, no matter how godlike Oda makes him, can never truly fight for, can never truly break them free of the chains that bind them. Those are Death's chains. And I say she a lot when I think of Death, because my favorite representation of Death is Death of the Endless from the Sandman comics by Neil Gaiman. But as I was saying, those are Death's chains, and she never lets them go. And that does something to the story, because if the Luffy we've seen so far, who we've cheered on, who Oda has been writing to receive consistent power-ups, who keeps getting stronger and stronger, if Luffy is to remain that strong, this always victorious, ever-conquering, unbeatable protagonist that we all know and love, if Luffy is to stay true to his existence in the story, the role he plays and who he's meant to be, the pirate who brings freedom so everyone can be as free as he, then you can't have Death be a permanent player in the story. She can't be an expected constant that hangs over the characters in each arc, leading to us as readers or watchers, if you're an anime only, holding our breath, terrified about what comes next and what could possibly happen, and would these people be free or would they become entrapped by an even stronger force that Luffy cannot help them with? Because Death shows the true powerlessness of Luffy. It shows the limits of his powers and what he can do. It might be this magical boy with a big heart who is loyal to his nakama and loyal to his love for food, particularly meat. It might be the pirate who stretches and bounces and dances to the rhythms of the beats of freedom. But he is also the young boy who was utterly devastated when Ace dies, when he realizes that even with everything he did, breaking into Impel Down, breaking out of Impel Down, facing down admirals and being able to get past them in a lucky stroke, and still riding that luck and focus, he was able to free his brother. And yet, after he's done so, after he's done what the story expects of him with setting Ace free, he is instead met with the realization that there are some captivity that he cannot triumph over, some captivity that he cannot gomu his way into to free the captives held within those walls. Death has closed her doors, and no one is getting in or out until she says so. Luffy ends the Marineford arc with the final realization that he needs to train, that he needs to become stronger so that the situation never repeats itself again, so that he never has to witness the death of those he loves again, powerless and unable to do anything about it. But his lesson is different from the lesson that Ace's death in the story teaches us, the readers, the viewers of the story, about death as a concept. Esoteric though she may be, she's infinite. She's the most powerful, not the admirals, not the Yonkos, not the Gorosei, not even Imu. Death is the most powerful entity in One Piece. Her chains and her prisons are forever, and there is no amount of training that Luffy can do that will keep her off of whoever she's chosen as her next victim. And that does something to a story with a lead protagonist that is big on setting people free. Oda can't have that happen, have Luffy go up time and again with a being like Death. He's always going to lose. Unlike us, Oda wants Luffy happy and reaching his dreams and spreading the joy and laughter and freedom he brings. He is Joy Boy after all. But yeah, that is honestly why I think Death wouldn't make sense in One Piece. It doesn't work for the type of protagonist that Oda has given us, and doesn't serve Luffy's interest or his goals or the ultimate theme of his story. That is what I think, at least. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think I'm just speaking out of my ass, or do you see the sense in what I'm saying? Whatever the answer might be, do let me know in the comments to this video. And while you're at it, like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you aren't here, share this video if you can. It all helps grow my channel and is incredibly supportive of my content. Speaking of support, a huge thank you to my Patreon. You all keep me going and keep the lights on. Thank you. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, the link to do so is in the description bar. I make new videos 3 times a week. Mondays are my anime manga days. Wednesdays are for movies and TV shows. I'm currently on a Bridgerton and House of the Dragon kick. So if either of those shows interest you, do check out my videos on them and subscribe if you want. Fridays are my anything goes and Noria can post whatever she wants days. This can be anything bookish or an additional TV show, movie content, or something on video game. The choice is mine, really. All my videos drop at 5 p.m. EST on upload days, so do keep an eye out for that. Until my next video, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.